A possible shakeup in the Trump administration. NBC News has learned that the White House is considering a plan to replace Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, though it's unclear when or if it will happen.
Plus, the tax bill that Republicans have been working on for weeks finally comes to a head, but a number of GOP holdouts expressing concern over how it would affect America's deficit.
And a verdict in the case of Catherine Steinle after touching off a national debate over immigration. A jury has acquitted a homeless Mexican immigrant of murder in the fatal shooting. Good morning, everyone. It's Friday, December 1st. I'm Ayman Mohyeldin alongside Yasmin Vasugian and Louis Bergdorf. NBC News has learned that the Trump administration is considering a plan to replace Secretary of State Rex Tillerson with CIA Director Mike Pompeo. Per an administration official, Tillerson has recently begun discussing a possible year-end departure. The New York Times also reports that per senior administration officials, Chief of Staff General John Kelly developed the plan, something State Department spokeswoman Heather Nauert responded to yesterday.
He remains, as I have been told, committed to doing this job. He does serve at the pleasure of the president. This is a job that he enjoys. What I can tell you is that that Chief of Staff Kelly called our department this morning and said that the rumors are not true, that those reports are not true.
The president and press secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders also both addressed the reports.
Do you want Rex Tillerson on the job, Mr. President?
He's here. Rex is here.
Do you want him to stay in his job?
Thank you very much, everybody.
As we've said many times before, when it comes to questions like this of senior staff and cabinet secretaries, when the president loses confidence in somebody, they'll no longer be here. I think his future right now is to continue working hard as the Secretary of State, continue working with the president to carry out his agenda.
Well, Pompeo and Trump reportedly have developed a close relationship with multiple current and former intel officials telling NBC News that some in the community refer to Pompeo as the, quote, Trump whisperer, whereas Tillerson and Trump have reportedly bumped heads, which ignited back in July when Tillerson reportedly called Trump a, quote, moron. Now, as the New York Times notes, if Tillerson exits before the end of the year, his tenure would be the shortest in nearly 120 years for a Secretary of State whose time did not end by a change in president.
All right, voting on the Senate's tax overhaul is slated to pick up again at 11 o'clock this morning. This, as the GOP leadership's hopes to pass the bill last night were dashed after new analysis from the nonpartisan Congressional Joint Committee on Taxation said the bill's growth projections fall short of paying for itself by $1 trillion. A trigger mechanism to raise rates in response to a rise in the deficit ran afoul of parliamentary rules, causing Republicans to search for savings of about $400 billion, according to Senator Tom Tillis. The situation is complicated by Senator Ron Johnson's demand for deeper cuts for small businesses and Senators Bob Corker and Jeff Flake's deficit concerns. According to the Wall Street Journal, Republicans are deciding whether to walk back their plan for a permanent reduction of the corporate tax rate to 20% from 35%. There was some consternation in the ranks last night as well. Senator Pat Roberts of Kansas said of Corker, quote, he'll probably call another meeting along with other people who won't be here very long to determine the fate of the rest of us.
And as the Senate works on the tax bill, there is still some mystery as to what exactly is in the bill and the impact that it will have. This after Treasury Secretary Department's Office of Tax Policy said they were not working on an analysis of the bill. Democrat Elizabeth Warren asked the department's Inspector General to investigate whether the Treasury hid